শিপাপা আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আমরা কিন্তু সবাই জি বলো আরবা।
এমবিসি অফ সুইডেন থেকে একজন জয়েন করলেন।
হ্যাঁ লিসা আসছে। তো সবাই একটু মিউট রাখবেন, যারা পারমিশন না পাবেন তারা কিন্তু মানে মাইক অফ রাখবেন প্লিজ, কারণ নয়েজ আসে। শিপাপাকে আমি শুনতে পাচ্ছি না, আপাও জয়েন করেছেন। লিসা, ক্যান ইউ হিয়ার আস?
I'm fine, Shahanur. Thank you for asking.
জি আপা।
Okay, bye.
And many thanks to join here. যারা অ্যাডমিন আছেন একটু খেয়াল রাখবেন যেন নয়েজ না আসে, এই আর কি। Hello Lisa, good morning. Hello Baidar, good morning.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Fine, you?
Very good, thank you. Good to see you.
Yes. আমরা মিটিং শুরু হয়ে গেলে যারা অ্যাক্টিভিস্ট যুক্ত হয়েছেন আপনারা চ্যাট বক্সে আপনাদের নাম, নেম, লোকেশন আপনারা চ্যাট বক্সে পোস্ট করতে পারবেন, এবং ফুল টাইম আপনাদের রিঅ্যাকশন, আপনাদের রিফ্লেকশন, আপনাদের কোশ্চেনস ইউ ক্যান পোস্ট অন দ্য চ্যাট বক্স। এন্ড শুরুতে কিছু থাকবে, অ্যাম্বাসেডরের স্পিচ থাকবে, আমাদের একটু কথাবার্তা থাকবে, থাকার পরে একটা স্লট থাকবে পুরো আপনাদের জন্য। তো আপনারা কুইক কিছু প্রশ্ন রাখবেন কিভাবে আমরা এই ডায়ালগের ইস্যুতে আমরা ক্লাইমেট চেঞ্জ এবং জেন্ডার ইকুয়ালিটিকে নিয়ে আগাইতে পারি, এবং খুবই শর্ট, বেশি বড় না, এবং যে প্রশ্ন একবার হয়ে যাবে সে একই প্রশ্ন করে আসলে মূলত লাভ নাই। তো আপনাদের জায়গা থেকে আপনারা সেটা করতে পারবেন। আমাদের সাথে এখনই অ্যাম্বাসেডর জয়েন করবেন 30 সেকেন্ডের মধ্যেই।
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Her Excellency.
How are you?
Fine, you?
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm very happy to be here with you.
That's
Yes.
great.
You can hear me, you can see me, right? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So can we start, Her Excellency?
Yeah, let's
Yes.
start.
Yeah.
Do you want?
Yes.
Alex, we can hear you, but we can't see you, or at least I can't see you. Okay, can everyone else see the ambassador? Now, I think something is happening.
Yeah? Good.
Johan, can you see
me and
the
hear me now.
ambassador?
Yes, yes.
So then it's you, Lisa. Okay.
Now I can see you. Good.
Okay.
Great.
So yes, Ambassador, at first belated greetings and wishes for your national days, and we already crossed the yes, Environment Day, but every day is Environment Day, and we are in the eve of the Ocean Day. So we are very delighted and happy to chat with you and all activists, climate activists around the Bangladesh, many coastal and many areas from Fridays for Future, YouthNet, Youth Parliament, they joined here. So we are looking forward a very fruitful talk with you. And one colleague from Sweden, either from Sweden, he also joined with us. And our another colleague, Shifa Hafiza, is a gender activist and our advisor, and he also gender expert also joined here. So now I move to Masood Parvezovi. He will moderate this dialogue. Masood, over to you.
Thank you, Sonbhai. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you everyone. Also, I think our excellent and honorable Ambassador of Sweden, Dhaka, for for having us with you, and also for being with us in this session. I would like to just take a privilege and honor to welcome everyone in today's session officially, and just to let you know for a reminder that our event session's title is Road to Glasgow, Climate Dialogue with Youth Activists. So that everyone gets to know one more time, and we just don't want to make late as our honorable guests are here today with us. So I would like to just invite our honorable ambassador and Her Excellency Mrs. Alexandra Berg von Linde to come up and also share with us a few words, because we are really delighted and to know more about her works and also how we can work on it. Ma'am.
Well, thanks everyone, and Shobo Shokal to all of you. Members of Coastal Youth Action Hub, YouthNet for Climate Justice, Fridays for Future, and other affiliated youth groups. Many thanks for inviting me and my embassy colleagues today to this climate dialogue. As you probably know, it is a topic that is in the DNA of Sweden, and I am delighted and I'm also very honored to have this conversation with you. I would want to start by quoting the eternal bard of Bengal and the Swedish Nobel Prize winner in literature in 1913, Rabindranath Tagore. For me, he is a true source of inspiration, and in his incomparable way, in the following quote, he lays out how humans and nature are interconnected. He says like this: "The fish in the water is silent. The animals of the earth are noisy. The bird in the air is singing. But man has in him the silence of the sea, the noise of the earth, and the music of the air." And to me, this quote begs the question, are we really and truly hearing nature? Are we wise? Are we bold enough? And are we brave enough to hear what it is really telling us? So I will speak about three things today, about the urgency of the climate crisis, about taking action for climate justice and equality, and about being part of the solution and the role of you, the youth. So here comes what I want to say in three chapters. Chapter 1, we are heading towards disaster. Last year was an unprecedented year on Earth, and you all know that. It was dominated by the COVID-19 pandemic, one of the most extreme global challenges that humanity has had to handle. And in its shadow, it was also unprecedented in another way. It was a year of extreme weather and climate disasters. The cause is clear: climate disruption caused by human activities and human decisions, our decisions that we make on a daily basis, and the effects are disastrous. In 2020, the global average temperature was 1.2 degrees Celsius hotter than pre-industrial times. And in fact, the last 6 years have been the hottest on record. We are getting dangerously close to the 1.5 degree limit that was set by the scientific community. And if we do not change things around, we will reach the point of no return, and it will be too late. There are probably few other places on Earth where the consequences of the climate crisis are as clear as in Bangladesh. And now, I could tell you things that you know all too well, and you know them better than me. How Bangladesh is experiencing changes in rainfall, higher temperatures, sea level rise, increased intrusion of salinity, and weather events like cyclones, floods, and droughts that are becoming more extreme. How last year, Bangladesh experienced the most prolonged monsoon flooding in decades. This while still dealing with the effects of supercyclone Amphan and in a pandemic. How the environment in Bangladesh is under severe pressure. High population density, rapid and uncontrolled urbanization, and industrial growth has led to pollution, overexploitation, and destruction of natural habitats, which in turn causes loss of biodiversity and threaten human livelihoods and human health. How women and girls in Bangladesh are disproportionately impacted by climate change and disasters due to persistent gender inequalities and gender-based discrimination, which are often reinforced and exacerbated by these events. But what I really would like to tell you is this. 3 months ago, I went with my Minister of International Development Cooperation to Sundarbans. We visited a so-called hanging village, Kalabugi. A lot of the village has slowly been swallowed by rising water levels, and what is left of the community is literally hanging on logs over the water. Last year, the remaining village was cut in half by the cyclone. And we talked to some students and asked them what their greatest fear was, and they said the next cyclone. Imagine that. Young people, the future, fearing for their lives because of climate change. What a wake-up call. Chapter 2, Taking Action, Why Climate Justice is a Gender Equality Issue. We are 6 years into the Paris Agreement, and it is clear that the current pace is not enough. Climate change and its consequences are here, and we need to act now. To achieve the Paris Agreement, all actors in society must work to reduce emissions. Collaborations between governments, business, civil society is key. Sweden will do its part internationally as one of the largest contributors to climate financing, but also at home by working to ensure that Sweden becomes the first fossil-free welfare nation and achieve climate neutrality by 2045. But in relation to environment and climate change, we also need to speak about inequalities and discrimination. Because while important progress has been made, big challenges remain in order to reach a society in which women, girls, men and boys are equally valued, have equal rights and equal access to resources. We still live in a world where gender-based violence remains a grave concern, where child marriage has been on the rise due to the pandemic, where we have unequal access to justice, to basic services, and to economic opportunities. And the list can go on and on. And in this, we also need to understand the important linkages that exist between climate change and gender inequality. Women and girls are bearing the burden of the climate crisis. Within communities, women that are already disadvantaged are being disproportionately affected by droughts, floods, cyclones, and storms. Of the estimated 26 million people who flee their homes every year as a result of climate change, 20 million are said to be women and girls. Women and children are 14 times more likely than men to die in natural disasters. Climate change is exacerbating unequal relations between women and men that have existed for generations. Therefore, climate change adaptation efforts should ensure equal rights, opportunities, and treatment for all, regardless of gender. Women and girls should play an integral leading part in designing and advocating for policies and action to address the crisis, and in policy implementation. Nationally and globally, women's participation in climate negotiations and decision-making needs to be increased. Achieving gender equality and protecting the environment are top priorities for the Swedish government. We have developed a so-called feminist foreign policy that is deeply rooted in the conviction that sustainable peace, security, and development can never be achieved if half of the world's population is excluded. Our feminist foreign policy has been developed as an agenda for change and aims to strengthen three central areas: the rights, the representation, and resources of women and girls. In every policy area, also when it comes to climate and environment, we need to ask ourselves, where are the women? It is as simple as that, and as difficult. Sweden has been a development cooperation partner of the people of Bangladesh for over 50 years. Throughout this partnership, we have been steadfast in our commitment to support gender equality and environment. Sweden is working with Bangladesh to bring systemic change in the government systems to promote women's social, political, and economic rights, combat gender-based and sexual violence, and, importantly, engage men and boys to become voices of gender equality. Through our development cooperation, we work with local governments to ensure climate change adaptation in hard-to-reach climate-vulnerable areas and enhance capacity of preparing and recovering from disasters, with a focus on women and girls. Safeguarding environmental resources and defending environmental rights is another area where we are engaged in Bangladesh. In June 1972, the first World Conference on Environment was held in Stockholm. It was the first international discussion that placed environmental issues at the forefront. Next year, in June, Sweden will hold the Stockholm Plus 50 conference. The overarching theme will be a healthy planet for the prosperity of all, our responsibility, our opportunity. The vision is fostering a green, the vision is to take this opportunity to collectively redefine our relationship to nature through fostering a green and inclusive recovery and through accelerating the shift towards sustainable consumption and production. Meaningful youth participation will be central, and Stockholm Plus 50 aims to contribute to strengthening structures for meaningful youth engagement. And that takes me to chapter 3. We can all be part of the solution. This is an unfinished chapter, and nobody knows how it will end. But it is in our hands to decide the outcome. And you, the youth, have a tremendous role to play in raising your voice and demanding accountability for climate promises. Yes, Greta Thunberg is Swedish, and she has had a great impact in shaping the global climate discussion, perhaps more than any other individual. But she is not alone, not anymore. She is joined by all of you, young people that have captured the imagination of the world, that makes decision makers listen. You have the power to inspire and the power to change outcomes. Sweden sees young people as agents for change and innovators. You are important. Young people's participation at the local, at the regional, national, or global level is central. So my advice to you is engage and participate in civic life, in practicing active citizenship, or giving input into processes that determine policy and practice. Make decision makers aware of your challenges, needs, and your ideas for improvement. Humanity is facing challenging and devastating events. A pandemic, an economic crisis, and a climate crisis, along with an ecological breakdown. They are all interconnected, and so are we. Only through global solidarity will we be able to overcome. I would like to end my intervention with a slogan from the World Environment Day that we celebrated this weekend. Reimagine, recreate, restore. And to that, I would like to add another R, redefine. We cannot turn back time, but we can reimagine a world that is more just, equal, and green. We can recreate an environment where our children can survive and eventually thrive in. We can restore our faith in humanity, and we can redefine our relationship with nature. So let us be brave, let us be wise, and let us do this together. Donovat, I thank you.
Thank you so very much. It's been a very delightful conversation, and I guess everyone has enjoyed that. I was just taking the notes, and it was really amazing to know that someone has really taken it so serious on behalf of us, and also think that youths are important to, to be heard, and we can actually engage and participate. It's been a great, delightful, speech from you. So we would like to just go on to proceed the discussion further. So we have a global youth, Mr. Sohanur Rahman, Chief Executive Bangladesh Model Youth Parliament, who is also have also acquired us together to work for you, the network Youth Net for Climate Justice. So we will be inviting him to let others know, and also to know that how we can go, and what are our demands, and what we have been doing since some of the years or few years to be heard our voice. Mr. Sohanur Rahman, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Masud Bhai, and thank you, Her Excellency. And Sweden means Greta Thunberg. Sweden means biodiversity, nature, ecosystem, environment, and gender equality. That's why now we are talking with you and exploring some action point, how we can act together. So first one, who are young people? So we know the youth power and how young climate activists, they are fighting for protecting our Mother Earth. So second one is our Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, in COP25. She rightly mentioned that our children will not forgive us if we fail to ensure their future. Every moment, the cost of our inaction is devastating every living person on earth. The time to act is now. And recently she wrote on the Diplomat magazine, and she concluded with a very powerful message that was like Greta Thunbergers and Coastal Youth Action Hub in Bangladesh. So their future will not be destroyed by global leaders. So COP26 in Glasgow will not failing them her arts to global community. And she is the current president of the global, climate vulnerable farm also. So next one, so when US was signed the Paris Agreement in the COP21, the John Kerry, former foreign minister and current advisor to the President Biden, he brought her young girl, children, daughter, granddaughter, to bring us as a symbol of protecting young people's future, children's future, by acting on climate action. So when the John Kerry was visited Bangladesh recently, so we asked through a article on Reuters, so we asked, we are the generation that has to deal with the more severe climate impacts than ever and are already bearing its burn. Our children will face disaster at a scale we have never seen before. As young people from around the world, we demand an end to inaction on climate-induced loss and damage, which endangers our future. So by Fridays for Future movement, we have some demands concretely. And when Greta Thunberg started the climate activism or climate strike, so they was focused on the ending fossil fuel. But we Bangladeshi young people and many vulnerable countries, we changed the global movement narratives that was most affected peoples and communities and focusing on the climate justice in linked with the fossil fuel. So first one is our global demand is to end all investment in the fossil fuel industry. Second one, annual and binding carbon budget. Third one is very important. It's totally itself justice. It's economic justice, racial justice, and gender justice in climate policy. Her Excellency rightly mentioned that girls and women's participation in the global negotiation is very limited, and also young people participation from Bangladesh in the national policy and global negotiation is very limited, and we are fighting to engage or to ensure our participation, but we have not ensured our meaningful participation there. And we know destructive masculinity is a dangerous to our women and also the mother earth. So we should transforming the destructive masculinity. So that's why I bring my colleague Vaidar from Sweden. He will mention about these issues after my presentation. For one, also very important, is protect and safeguard democracy, citizens' participation in climate decision making. So our strike or our movement and our mobilization, it's our constitutional rights, it's our human rights, it's our civic rights. But when we are fighting, sometimes we are on threat, we are on life threat, or our voice sometimes go to with a negative response from local administration sometimes. So we need an enabling environment to raise our voice also. And 5.1, and sometimes our many colleagues from India, Disharabi was to jailed for share a toolkit on social media. So we are activists, we are not terrorists. So we need also protection for these issues, to protecting our human rights also. And 5th one is making ecocide an international crime, like Sundarban destroying. In last 2 decades, 19 times Sundarban set fires. It's intentionally. So Sundarban is not asset for Bangladesh, it's global asset. Or our Amazon forest, it's a international asset. So making ecocide should be an international crime. So it's 5th demand from the Fridays for Future Global, and we also expressing solidarity since 2019 with Greta Thunberg and her teams. So our action. So we are active in 25 districts and it's growing. And in 2019, we started a Coastal Youth Action Hub, which was launched by Foreign Minister, and government also expressed their support and solidarity, Prime Minister and Climate Ambassador Saima Wazir, and everyone is recognizing this Coastal Youth Action Hub to supporting young-led organization, young people movement also, I think. So I am sharing some action in ground. So when last year Cyclone Amphan hit the Satkhira Anchol, close to the Sundarban, so peoples are suffering due from the Amphan and currently Yash, and total embankment repairing, environment management, everything are young people. And when the Amphan hit, our colleague Shahin, he given a interview to the Deutsche Welle. Victims feel abandoned by international community. So it's a totally injustice through our international community. And young people not only giving speech, they also are supporting communities with the food, with the essential water also there. And next one is Cox's Bazar. Cox's Bazar is the largest sandy beach in the world. So we are working to end pollution, plastic pollution. But every year, many foreign ships, they throw waste in the ocean. And we are on the Iveda Ocean Day. So it's many tons, and it is a environmental catastrophe in the in Cox's Bazar. So this pollution, foreigners ship through pollution, it endangers our oceans health and biodiversity there. So YouthNet teamed up with local administration and local youth-led organization. They cleaned this pollution in Cox's Bazar in last year. So it's our strikes photo from national in front of National Parliament and in the front of our Father of the Nations house and Sundarban areas. And not only a strike, we also supporting to youth-led organization for capacity development. We build partnership with the universities like BRAC universities and local government on UN bodies to enhance youth advocacy, youth climate science advocacies, and many aspects. So we think science, solution, and solidarity can accelerate this climate action also. So in 2018, we received a government recognition. It's the Joy Bangla Youth Award. And in 2018 also, I was privileged to join Commonwealth Head of Government meeting in London with our Honorable Prime Minister. And we regularly conduct a climate dialogue with foreign ministers like UK, Netherlands, and many counterparts. And we have 3 landmark victory in Bangladesh by youth-led movement. So considering our climate strike, Bangladesh Parliament at first ever taken a motion, it's called planetary emergency. Before that, UK Parliament, British Parliament, they taken the climate emergency. But planetary emergency focus on biodiversity, focus on nature, focus on ecosystem ecology. So it's great victory to recognizing youth movement, government, national parliament formulate this declaration. But now we are closely work with the parliamentarians to develop a roadmap. And our colleague Aruba is here. She also hosted a petition. She will talk in then what she demand. So second one, after declaring planetary emergency, government taken 29 new coal-based power plants. It's very contradictory. So amid COVID-19 restriction, we start digital dialogue and urging the investor country like Japan, Germany to phase out investment on coal. And in 2020, government declared they will for phasing out from coal. And this year, government marking the Mujib centenary, they developed a decarbonizing prosperity plan. It's Mujib prosperity plan. So it's 3 victory from our part. So we hosted a youth postal election hub. By this hub, we enhance access on knowledge and resource, research advocacy and campaign, linking local to global action. It's totally supporting youth-led and youth organization in the coastal and many areas of Bangladesh. So our parliamentarian Sabrishun Choudhury, climate scientist Dr. Hawk and Kazi Kholiquzzaman, everyone supporting our movement itself. So we think we cannot achieve climate justice without gender justice. So also we are work on the SR issues and reproductive justice too. And we represent our voice in the ICPD 25 in Nairobi in 2019. So it's our hub website. And recently the COP26 president in last week visited Bangladesh, and he was invited us to hear from our activism experience and our demand. So now we are on the road to Glasgow. So thank you everyone. Masood Parvez, over to you.
Thank you so very much for articulating your work, and it's been quite a pleasure to know that how we have been working since quite years, and also we're trying to reach out the global youth platforms, and how we are also interacting Fridays for future global and Fridays for future Bangladesh working together. So we would like to also know about the gender inequality and also the man part that Sohan Bhai mentioned and also ma'am mentioned. So we'd like to go to invite our another honorable guest, Mr. Vaidar Vetterfok, International Project Manager, man. Sir, we'd like to just welcome you and share your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. It's such an honor, and thank you for your presentations. I'm very, very, very touched and impressed by the work that you're doing. And I'm also proud to be a Swede hearing the ambassador's speech. Thank you, Alex, for that. I will be brief because you all have so much knowledge that needs space. I just want to mention that we cooperate together with the YouthNet within the Global Men Engage Alliance, which gather more than 700 different organizations throughout the world who engage boys and men for gender equality and against men's violence. And we are a little group of pioneers, I would say, that together with Sohanur in particular are highlighting the patriarchal structures and masculinity norms as important root causes to the climate crisis and the environmental degradation, and how we can first of all promote gender equality as a solution to all of that, and to raise the voice and support and be accountable to all the women and girls who are leading the work for gender equality and the work for the environment and the climate. And then also look at how can we engage more men and boys as part of the solution in care for each other, in gender equal care for the children, and to expand that care also to include the environment and the planet and the climate, just like you, Alex, said, how can we redefine the relationship and how we are and view ourselves in the world, and redefining masculinity norms is a very important and central part of that. And we are learning so much from Sohanor, and I would say Sohanor is leading this work. We are most of all need to give you guys the space, and because you have a strong voice, and we want to hear and learn from it, and find ways to let the rest of the world hear you. So I think that's enough for right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, brother. So we will just not make it late, and it's been quite, it's been really intimidating that everyone has shared their own opinion, but there's so many youths out there with so that they can also voice their questions and also ask you what do they actually think, and also what do they want you to do for us or for the whole world, and how we can also help each other to make this world a better future for all of us. And for to the question answer session, which is for 15 minutes, and then I would like to take the help from Mr. Sonu Bhai. So can we do that? প্রথমত আমরা কাদের কোয়েশ্চেন নিব বা কি ভাবে কোয়েশ্চেন গুলোকে আসলে অ্যাড্রেস করব। So we are getting raising hands from quite a few people, so we just go one by one. জি সোহন ভাই, আপনি যদি একটু এখানে আমাকে হেল্প করতেন।
জি, thank you. So at first I would like to Zaraf.
Assalamu alaikum, Her Highness. It was a very stimulating speech from your side. I would like to place two questions before you. First of all, how would Sweden like to support us in conserving our biodiversity, including the largest mangrove forest, Sundarban? And the second question would be, climate justice and gender justice, as we know, as Shwan Bhai and you told, are integral and interrelated. So how can Sweden work with us in achieving gender justice through climate justice? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Zaraf. So now we move to Aruba Farooq. Aruba, can you hear us?
Aruba, can you hear us? We can't hear you. I guess.
Thank you very much, Her Excellency, for today's excellent conversation. I'd just like to let you know about a initiative I very recently have taken, and which is a petition, and it goes to the Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh to implement the Bangladesh Planetary Emergency Declaration and incorporate climate education in school curriculum. And I just like to ask for your support from the Swedish Embassy in Bangladesh, and also from MAN Sweden on this petition, and also from all the young people present here. I have put the link in the chat, and I will do so again. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Aruba. So আমরা যারা ইংরেজিতে বলছি খুবই ভালো, বাংলায় যদি কেউ বলতে চান যে আমাকে ইংরেজি বলতে হবে, not necessary, you can tell in English, Bengali, you translate.
আমি ট্রান্সলেশনে হেল্প করব,
So no hesitation with the language. So now we want to move to Kothok Bishwas. Kothok, over to you.
Thank you, Bhaiya, and thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us your precious time. Actually, at present, the whole world has become a world village. Ma'am, you know, when we young people do something together, it becomes much easier. I remember our visionary leader, Greta Thunberg. She is also from Sweden. Ma'am, my question, is there any special initiative from your embassy to share the experiences between the youth of Sweden and Bangladesh? Thank you, Shwan Bhai.
That's great questions to experience sharing, knowledge sharing. Thank you, Kothok. So now we move to Sylhet with Humaira Jeba. Humaira, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Humaira Ahmed Jeba from Select Youth Net team.
Bangladesh has maintained friendly relation with Sweden since independence 1971. Hopefully in the near future, it will be even stronger. One of the major problems in the world today is mainly due to carbon emissions from developed countries. Sweden also falls under the developed countries, so it can be said that Sweden is also responsible for this. My questions to you is whether the Swedish government is taking any special steps regarding carbon emissions, and do you have any thoughts on working on these issues with Bangladesh government? My another question to you in that Bangladesh has numerable forests, big and small, which is constantly working to protect biodiversity. We also have numerous forests in Sylhet. Does the Swedish government want to work with the Bangladesh government to develop this forest, or does Sweden have any desire to work with Bangladeshi girls in a special way? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Humaira.
Sohan bhai, sorry to interrupt. We have already got 4 questions. So can we take them and then go for a second round of questions? Because the questions are also, you know, it's from 4 person, but the questions are in number of 6. So I guess we should take the questions answers, and then if we have time, then we'll go for round 2. Yes, Her Excellence. Would you like to respond?
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I would, and then I would just maybe ask a couple of questions myself. But I also want to take the opportunity to introduce 2 co-workers of mine, Lisa and Mahbub, and they work at the Swedish Embassy with climate and environment. So I've invited them with me here today to be so that they also can give their input from an expert point of view. And also have the opportunity, of course, to have a dialogue with all of you. But thanks for all the questions. If I'll start from the beginning, which was about Sweden and biodiversity. So Sweden has, in Bangladesh, Sweden has been working with climate change and with environment for many years. But biodiversity is a new area for us. So last year, in the end of December, the Swedish government took a new decision on our development cooperation strategy for the coming 5 years with Bangladesh, 2021-2025. And we have a couple of priority areas, and within those areas, climate change and environment is one. And within that, biodiversity is a theme that we are going to start working with. And I think that, as some of you might know, we had our Minister for Development Cooperation, Per Olsson Frid, visiting earlier this spring. So we, among other things, we visited the Sundarbans. One of the purposes of his visit was to understand how biodiversity is affected here in Bangladesh by climate change. So this is a new area for us here. And Mahbub and Lisa are at this point doing a little inventory to see where Sweden's added value could be here. Because obviously there are a lot of actors working, and with this we need to be able to understand where we come in and how our work is most efficient and smartest. With that, I would also perhaps want to give the floor to Lisa and Mahbub, because though we haven't worked with biodiversity as a focus area before, we have had projects and cooperations with partners where biodiversity has been a consequence, and the focus of biodiversity has been there, but now it's more of a priority. So maybe Lisa and or Mahbub would want to complement with that on the first question.
Yes, hello, of course. Hello, everyone. I can mention Yeah, maybe if everybody tries to mute, it's easier. Thank you. Yeah, I can complement to what our ambassadors said, that we have some ongoing cooperations where biodiversity is integrated. So, for example, we work together with Bangladesh Environmental Lawyers Association, BELA, whom I'm sure you know about. And part of their work is, of course, I mean, they work for climate and environmental justice and access to, I mean, access to justice for increased access to justice for vulnerable communities and people that are exposed to different types of issues regarding. I mean, there's so many different issues, as you are well aware about, different, you know, pollutions or land grabbing or encroachment of wetlands and so on that are ongoing throughout the country. So one of the focus is under that support is also protection and conservation of critical environmental critical areas in Bangladesh. So that's one example of the cooperation within biodiversity that we're already conducting, and that will be strengthened more throughout the rest of our new strategy period, the next 5-year period that is coming up. But I think I'll hand over a little bit to my colleague Mahbub also, if he would like to add something to that. Thank you.
Hi, thank you all for this nice event. I'm really delighted to know such young people. They are working as activists for climate change, which is an urgent issue for Bangladesh. We all know. Yeah, of course, what our ambassador mentioned, what Lisa mentioned, that the biodiversity area, though we are working in some way, but now it's a priority. So we will be focusing more on biodiversity. But so far, what Lisa mentioned, besides that, that we are also working with, you know, climate change adaptation in the local level, in the most vulnerable areas of the country, in the coastal areas, and in Sylhet, Sunamganj district, and also in Kurigram district. So there, our focus is nature-based solution also. And many questions came about the how we see women participation in all this. Yeah, that is one of the area that we highly emphasize. Our ambassador mentioned that Swedish foreign policy is feminist foreign policy. So that in our contributions, we also highlight that, and you know, that we are working in different areas with the local people, their community-led adaptation measures, their individual household level adaptation measures. In here, in the individual household level adaptations, in a group approach, we work with the woman member of the household only. And in that, with some exception, we have about 17,000 beneficiaries. They are in the local level, and out of them, 95% of them is women. So that's that you understand, and we recognize the fact that the women and girls, they are they suffer the most in a disaster situation, and so we are prioritizing this. So if you have any more question, or Lisa and ambassador, if you want to intervene.
Yeah, thank you, Mahbub. So I think this is how we, since we, you know, Swedes are very holistic, we are going to be working through the questions like this. I'll start and then I'll ask my colleagues to fill in. So I think we did the climate justice and gender equality question. Just to add that for us, gender, I mean, as an effect of the feminist foreign policy, gender needs to be seen holistically, and you cannot work with foreign policy, security policy, development, cooperation, commerce, international trade without taking the gender issue into account. And that also kind of that also boils down to when we work in different countries with our development cooperation. For instance, here we have priority areas such as climate and environment, but we also work with health, democracy and human rights, economic inclusive development. These areas, you always have the gender perspective integrated in them, so that you can always at one given point say, you know, economic inclusive development, what do we do with the gender equality there? How do we take women and girls' perspective into account? So if you don't, if you work in silos, obviously that is going to be much less efficient than if you have this integrated approach. So just wanted to add that. Then we had the question of the petition, and I just want to start by really congratulating you and encouraging you, a young girl taking, you know, thinking that things are not like I want them to be, or like I want my generation doesn't want them to be, and taking initiative, really admirable. And I think that that is well worth supporting. In terms of the specific petition, I think that the best way forward would be to need to capture all the segments of the Bangladeshi society as you could possibly get. I mean, not only youth, but also climate experts and other prominent members of Bangladeshi society, in order to give that kind of support to your initiative. So really admirable, and congratulations to that. There was also a question on youth exchange between climate groups, and I think, but I need Lisa and Mahbub to complement on that we don't work per se with youth exchange in that sense. Now, there are two other aspects to that. The first one is that we live in a globalized world, and the world has shrunk. So we all are in social media. I have, been in touch with many of you through social media, and you have brother and sister organizations such as Fridays for Future in Sweden. So I think that working directly group to group is probably a very, very good way of doing it. However, if you would need like the facilitation of the embassy in getting that going, we could try to do what we can. But I think that in this, I'm always keen on emphasizing the different roles that we have. So I'm part of the government and the Swedish government, and you are, youth, and in that sense, I think that the world is great in that sense, that that you can actually take direct links. We can do what we can, but I think that could be a way forward. And I expect that you also have some international networks that could facilitate that. Otherwise, we can try to help.
And thank you.
Then, yeah, thank you.
Please
then
go forward.
Sorry?
You can go forward, please.
Yeah, sorry. And then we had the last question, and I'm sorry to say that my line is a little bit shaky, so I didn't capture the whole thing of that. I think it was something about biodiversity, and then there might have been something to do with how Sweden work internationally with climate change, something like that. But otherwise, I can start, and then I will hand over to Lisa and Mahbub.
Yeah, Her Excellency, if you permit, I can help you with the question. The question was, yes, almost you almost caught that question. The question was on how Swedish government can work or cooperate Bangladeshi government in order to maintain the biodiversity? And there was a question from Humaira from Sylhet.
Okay, yeah. So I think that in terms of the biodiversity part, we have touched upon that already. Within our bilateral strategy that we have for the coming 5 years, biodiversity will be a priority area, and this also, of course, reflects the renewed effort that the government has on this specific part of climate change. So I think that is what we are doing now, trying to do an inventory about what mapping of the different biodiversity initiatives that have already been taken here, and also to see where we can come in and who we can partner up with. Because how we implement our development cooperation in Bangladesh and in other countries is through partnerships. Partnering with organizations that have a capacity and a knowledge and expertise, because we are not that big of an embassy. So we are now, for instance, in dialogue with different UN organizations to see how they are working with biodiversity. So that was then one, and then I think that in general, Sweden and climate change, you can say that it's a mirrored approach. So we try to have different national targets on how to achieve our climate targets, but also within our responsibility as a developed nation, we are also very, very keen on looking at our development cooperation. I think that you might know that that Sweden is one of the few countries that gives 1% of their GNP to the development cooperation. And I think through that we also work with, for instance, international development banks such as the World Bank, to see to it that the projects that we have together are done in a manner that is climate friendly, and that has a focus on renewable resources. So that is one example. So I hope that I captured the last question, and I will hand over to Lisa and Mahbub to complement if they see fit.
Yes, hello, Lisa here. Yeah, I can add a little bit. I think part of the question in the beginning was also touching upon what Sweden as a developing country, what we do ourselves about carbon emissions, and if we have taken any special steps towards that. What I can say is that the Swedish government has a very ambitious target, and we are planning to become fossil-free by year 2045. And I can post in the chat group. I will post now a link to a website that's it's the Fossil Free Sweden website, which is very interesting to have a look at, because it will give you the journey on how Sweden is planning to become a fossil-free nation, welfare nation. So I'll post that in the chat group, and you can have a look at that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So yes, so we should focus on women and girls with intersectionality lens. So we want to engage trans community and LGBTQI community, gender diverse community in the climate fight. So I would like to request to Mohammad Rafiqul Islam Royal. He's the country coordinator of Engaging Men and Boys Network. Royal bhai, can you hear me?
Hello everyone. First of all, I would like to give big thanks to Sanu inviting me for such a nice event, and also love to hear the voice from Her Excellency and others speakers. Actually, I am here to raising a flag and asking a question: how you have planning to include the gender diversity, especially trans community, transgender man, women, and non-binary people. You know, traditionally people always thinking about man and women. There are people from trans community, and there are people from non-binary people persons, and they are very deprived. They are excluded from each and every platform. So I'm flagging and raising the voice about including trans community, and asking you people if you have any plan for future, especially including grassroots level organizations at local level. Thank you.
Thank you, Royal Bhai. So now we want to take a group photo. So I am calling to everyone to open your camera to take a group photo with Her Excellency, please. তো আমি সবাইকে অনুরোধ করছি ক্যামেরাটা একটু অন করার জন্য। আমরা একটা ছবি নিব, আর আমরা একেবারে সময়ের শেষ দিকে আমরা একটু শিপাবার কাছ থেকে শুনে আমরা
একেবারে শেষের দিকে এসেছি,
একেবারে শেষের দিকে। তো আমরা কি সবাই ক্যামেরা অন করেছি না? থ্যাংক ইউ। সো নাও আই এম টেকিং দ্য স্ক্রিনশট। ইটস এ first one taken. So last one, we have 3 pages. So we have 64 participants around Bangladesh. It's second one, and now third one. Yes, and thank you. So we have seen many hands from young people, but now would like to say share a very small video. It's developed by our climate activist under COP26 Youth Engagement Challenge Fund.
থাকানোর জায়গা দিলে, খাওয়ানোর জায়গা দিলে আমরা ভালো হয়।
এই নদী ভাঙনের কারণে যারা মাইগ্রেট হয়ে আরবানে আসছে, ওদের একটা কর্মসংস্থানের সৃষ্টি করা।
আমাদের ঘরে বৃষ্টিতে পানি ভরে যায়, আমরা রাস্তায় রাস্তায় থাকি, জ্বরে ভরে যায়। আমি মায়ে পোলা লইয়ে খাইতে পিঠে খাই, 4টা 5টা বাচ্চা আমার ছেলে মেয়ে লইয়ে নৌকা থাকা লাগে, বইটা ওরে পানি ঘর সব তলিয়ে গেছে। আমরা কি কষ্ট করিয়া খাই, মানুষের দশকে চাইয়া আসে।
The life of a climate migrant is tougher than we think, more struggleful than we can imagine.
ক্লাইমেট চেঞ্জের জন্য নদী ভেঙে যাচ্ছে, নদী ভেঙে যে পানিগুলো ভিতরে ঢুকতেছে, যেখানে নিরাপদ পানি, সেই নিরাপদ পানি এখন আর নিরাপদ নাই। আবার টিউবওয়েলের পানি খাবো, সেখানেও নিরাপদ নাই, সেটাও আয়রনের জন্য অনিরাপদ হয়ে গেছে। ঘন ঘন বন্যা হচ্ছে।
Frequent floods and other disasters are ruining Bangladesh. What can be the solution? What is the amount?
মনে করেন ওই নদীর সাইডটা যদি একটা ভেরি ব্যাপ যেতে, তো আমাকে পলাশপুর ইউনিয়নে খুবই একখান সুবিধা।
বাচ্চা কাচ্চা আমরা পড়াইতে পারতাছি না, আমাদের কোনো কিছু সাহায্য আমরা পাইতেছি না। যাদের আছে তাদের আরো বেশি হয়, আর যাদের নাই এদের মূল্য।
আমাদের চলতে ফিরতে কষ্ট হয়, সবকিছু ঠিক করে দেন। আমরা সরকারের কাছে কিছু চাই।
ইতিবাচক পরিবর্তন আমরা ডাউনস্ট্রিমে যারা আছি, আমরা কিন্তু আমাদের তার সঙ্গে সম্পর্ক নেই। এই যে বিজ্ঞানীরা বলেছে 50 বছর পরে, 100 বছর পরে উপকূলীয় এলাকা পানি মুক্তি তলিয়ে যাবে, তার কিন্তু নমুনা আমরা পাচ্ছি।
আসলে ইয়ুথদের দরকার, এবং তারাই এইটা পারে। তারা সেদিন যেভাবে তারা বার্তাকে ট্যাগ দিছে, এটা তাদের দরকার। তারা যেভাবে বার্তা রক্ষা করেছে, আমার বিশ্বাস ইয়ং জেনারেশন যদি মাঠে নামে, তারা বাংলাদেশকে রক্ষা করতে পারবে। সারা বিশ্বকে রক্ষা করতে পারে।
বরিশাল জেলায় অসংখ্য নদী রয়েছে এবং এই নদীগুলো আমাদের একটা নির্দিষ্ট সময় বিশেষ করে বর্ষা মৌসুমে ব্যাপক ভাঙনের শিকার হয়, যার জন্য কিছু সংখ্যক পরিবার তারা স্থানান্তরিত হয় এবং এই পরিবারগুলোকে পুনর্বাসন করা, তাদেরকে আশ্রয় দেওয়া এবং তাদের অন্যান্য সুযোগ সুবিধা দেখা এবং তাদের যে সমস্যাগুলো হয় সেগুলো সমাধান করার জন্য জেলা প্রশাসন কাজ করে।
Good grammar and spelling are important, but if you want to write essays that inspire,
Well, that was the video that has been made by one of our colleagues from YouthNet for Climate Justice. So, yeah. Son bhai?
Thank you. So I have seen some hand. So Famida, have you any specific questions? Famida? Nahid? Yes, Famida, first one. Famida.
Yes, thank you to give me a facility. I'm Fahmida. I'm a teenager. I'm only 14 years girls, and I have seen a very experience, or I'm a victim of a violence and the gender discrimination I own face. On myself, I face gender discrimination. That has never been described. The climate change advocacy is the main thing that I am joining online, but my families, but my society does not allow to get out my home and get with the others to meet and get involved me. And my question is that the climate change is cause many disaster, and the list of these are long, but the main thing that we should be unite and take action. But we don't have we are not can at the poor people or lower class or upset people of Bangladesh. They are not understand, or they don't see the far-reaching effect of climate change. How would to understand the lower class and upset people of Bangladesh, that what the Sweden embassy work, does the Sweden's embassy work for that? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Famida. And many youth-led organization activists are sending message to me to our Sweden embassy to supporting youth-led movement organization activists directly. So now we move to, and also addressing men and boys engagement, gender equality and climate justice issues. So now we move to Nazmun Nahid. Please raise your question very short. Nazmun Nahid.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Nazmun Nahid from Silet. My question is, we know last 5th June was the World Environment Day. This year, the theme of the Environment Day was ecosystem restoration. So my question is, what is the contribution of Sweden government about the ecosystem restoration, if there are any special plan? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nazmun Nahid. Now we move to Heli district, Bandorban.
Hello, assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
I'm Jishan Mashroor from a rural hill tract area of Bangladesh. My question is especially in rainy season, rural hill tracts area are not safe. Honorable guest, from your side, how could our government can stop that? And second one is, what kind of movements yard climate activities can do for make awareness to hill tracts people? Thank you.
Thank you, Mashroor. And the indigenous people, they are facing, especially women, they are facing many problems also with the water and also many restriction there. So thank you, Mashroor. Now we move to Shipa Hafiza, gender activist and our advisor. Shipa, are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, I am hearing you.
Yes, please raise your position. Thank you.
I'm Shipa Hafiza, gender and human rights activist and a development professional. My question, first of all, thank you, Shohannar and your group, for arranging this. Shall I open the video, you said? Okay, So thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you, Swedish Ambassador, Her Excellency, and all others for giving us very good inputs and commitments too. My question is, as Sweden is very good with gender statistics, doing and analyzing, do you have any plan that these young people can be trained to identify what are the real indicators of gender discrimination, pinpointed? Because in Bangladesh and like many other places, that gender justice and climate justice, it's not really a very linked one yet. We have just started talking about it. And overall, the whole climate justice movement of Bangladesh really did not include gender justice for so long. So it's a new area for us. And I really like Swedish Embassy, if you can help these young people with their capacity building on finding out actual indicators, what really hindering gender justice, and then maybe the action plan can be taken following that. And also my another identity, I'm the advisor of this YouthNet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shipapa. So we teamed up with the Swedish expert like Vedar, man, and also the equality activist, gender activist, and Shipapa has a long experience to women empowerment and many issues. So now we are demanding or urging to Swedish embassies to support youth-led organization, youth-led movement, so we can work together on gender and equality. So that's all. So now we move to our Her Excellency with your concluding remarks. With your remarks, we will ended this dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the all the questions. Really interesting, and it's so inspiring to have to see that you're all so engaged. I will unfortunately will have to leave in a few minutes for the next meeting, but I would have loved to ask you some questions too. The first, so let's see if there's time for that. The first one was about gender diversity and how we work about that, how we work on that. First of all, let me just say that for the government, the full and equal enjoyment of human rights goes for every person, of course, regardless of gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation. So we work in Bangladesh. This is also one of the things that we work with within the umbrella of human rights. One of the things that we are very much engaged in, that we have been for a long time, is sexual reproductive health and rights, which makes up a large part of our assistance to health in general. This is also something we have been working with a lot with our development cooperation partners here. For instance, we partner up with an organization, a Bangladeshi organization called Bondhu, that I actually had the privilege to interact with the latest last week when we had a good seminar together to celebrate Idaho Day. So human rights and gender diversity is something that we do focus here on, and that is something that is on our agenda through the partners that we have locally. And then there was this question from Fahmida, I think, about gender discrimination and how to involve people that are poor. And I think that one of the recurrent points that we have tried to underline throughout this session is that that is exactly the area of the population that we focus on, the most vulnerable ones, i.e. the poorest one and the ones that often don't have the possibility to get a proper education, because in that sense, they are also the first victims of climate change. So that is something that we take into consideration when we do partner and have development cooperation projects. I don't know if Lisa and Mahbub want to say something about our specific projects when it comes to logic, for instance, and how we capture that specific group there. So I'll hand over quickly to Lisa to just give you a couple of examples.
Yes, hello. Yeah, I wonder if since Mahbub is the project manager of Logic, I'll see if he's still here. Are you still here, Mahbub?
Yep. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, maybe you can do some examples on how we work with gender equality and maybe empowering women out in the in these very vulnerable districts that we're working in. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, what Ambassador Alexandra mentioned, that how we actually start working our, defining our strategy, defining our activities. And she also mentioned that we work with different partners who have the expertise and who have the knowledge of the local area issues and this. So what we do here in the embassy, we, with our experts in Stockholm, we analyze the whole situation, like the many questions came about whether we touch upon the hardcore poor, or whether how we work with women, how we engage youth. This is actually comes when we analyze the situation, and it is inbuilt in our strategic approach that we analyze the Bangladesh situation, how the environment looks like now. So then when we start our dialogue with cooperation partners, so then we emphasize on these issues that come as a priority, like as you mentioned, hardcore people, poor people, then gender sensitive. Of course, our programs are gender sensitive. That is one of our priority. Then, of course, engagement of youth. If I give the example of Logic, then this contribution is implemented by the local government division of Bangladesh government with partnership with UNDP and UNCDF. So what happens is that the local government division is responsible for the development works or any kind of work in the local level. If we tell about the Union Parishad level, so that's the lowest tier of our administration, where we felt along with our partners that if the activities are planned there in the vulnerable areas, in the disaster hurt areas, that will be most efficient. And how we were, this contribution, Logic actually is one of the important target of this, is that how this will be planned at the local level, and the financing from the mainstream government system, how this will go to the Union Parishad level to adapt community-based. As I mentioned that here and in every activity, we prioritize the most vulnerables, and among them, the women of the households of the community are get priority. I mentioned that already, that in Logic, among our 17,000 direct beneficiaries, 95% are women. So how do we provide support? How do we capacitate them? That these women are organized in different groups, and then there are community facilitators, there are subject matter experts There are experts who knows about how to do small business, how to do any kind of household income generating activities. So they go often and they provide support to these women groups. And then we provide grant to this when they are ready to accept, and project authority, they understand these people are ready to accept, start something, the fund is moved to them. And you'll be happy to know that all these 70,000 rural, very hard to reach area women, they have their own bank account now. They operate, they can now, they operate these bank accounts. And then when this fund goes to them, they start their works. And our priority, or the community, they decide what will be important, what is feasible for these areas, and what will not go against nature, that will also encourage nature-based adaptations. So this way, and then there are another tier of activity, that is the Union Parishad-led activities, that another grant system that is looked after by UNCDF, and where the Union Parishad, they take decision, but our development partners, they ensure that the decision-making process engages people, local people, especially women. Like we ensure that the female members of the Union Parishad, they must be there. They have their say when they are planning. So these are our ways. And also we are emphasizing on, we understand, and along with our partners, that the next generation will be even more sufferer of this climate change events. So disasters coming with this. So we are interested to engage youth so that they understand, they can utilize their power, and they can take it forward. So they, at the local level, these contributions are organizing the youth. And also we encourage all our partners to engage youth in their activities. Like you may know that WaterAid is a very important organization in the wash sector, and they have formed a youth group. They called it Youth for SDG 6, which is one of the very important SDG. So this is the way, actually, if you have any further question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahbub. And as you can see, we are as engaged as you are in trying to respond to all your questions. And I hope that we kind of strike the right balance, because there is you have to give an overview, but at the same time, some stuff is rather technical. So we try to strike the right balance. I must say that I have now 5 minutes late to my next meeting. So what I would want to suggest is that I can just answer the question about ecosystem restoration. And then maybe Mahbub and Lisa have some time left, and you can continue with the last couple of questions, and I sign off. But I also, so I'll do that, and then I'll just finish off. But with the ecosystem restoration, I just want to mention that, for instance, one illustrative example on how we would work with that is through our local partner. In this instance, it would be BELA, that we have mentioned several times, the Bangladesh Environment Lawyers Association. They work with the protection and conservation of biodiversity and ecosystems. And one example is, for instance, Chalambil, that you probably know much better than me, is the largest water reservoir and wetland in Bangladesh, that have, of course, been losing fish, birds, animals due to arbitrary pumping of water, due to fertilizers, due to illegal fishing, and so on. So with BELA, we try to engage in community consultations have a local ownership and try to understand how we can help in supporting the local community in restoring these kind of areas. Because in the end, we are here as external partners, and the importance here is understanding what context you are in, what partner that you can work in, and how we can work with local communities. With that, I will have to go, but I will leave you in good hands of Lisa and Mahbub for a little bit longer. Just want to say thank you very much for inviting us for this dialogue. We follow you very actively and all the things that you do in social media, and really, really appreciate and respect the work that you do. So thank you very much, and I will look forward to having a continued dialogue with you during the time to come. So thanks for me, and
thank you.
See you soon again.
Yes. So Mahbub bhai, Lisa, have you any point?
I can say,
thank you, Alex.
If you,
yes.
I actually we are already so sorry.
Yes, Lisa.
Sorry,
yes.
we're already a bit over about 25 minutes, so I think
yes.
I will actually have to leave soon also. But
okay.
If Mahbub would like to answer the last few questions, it's
yes.
okay. You can go ahead. I know there were some specific questions regarding the hill tracks area. Unfortunately, we don't have any specific support or partnership in that area as of now, but I'm sure Mahbub could add some insights anyway. What's to that question? I will actually unfortunately have to leave also, but I just want to just echo what the ambassador said, that I think it's been really nice to engage and look forward to more occasions to have this possibility. Great to see you all, and yeah, until next time, have a great day and see you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lisa, for your kind support, and you. So thank you also Shipa Appa, Vaidar, and everyone. So Mahbub bhai, আপনি চাইলে বাংলা একটু সহজ করে, আমাদের এখনো 50 জন আছে, তা কিভাবে আমরা একসাথে কোনো কাজ করার সুযোগ আছে কিনা? মাহবুব, এবার প্রিয়।
We have already non-Bangla speaking participant. So you think it will be wise to speak in Bangla?
So Vaidar, now we are talking in Bengali. Yes.
Okay. আসলে আমাদের যে কাজের অ্যাপ্রোচ, তাতে আমরা বললাম আমি যে আমরা আমাদের সব ধরনের পার্টনারদের এবং সব ধরনের কন্ট্রিবিউশন কাজে, যেটা আমরা ফান্ড করি বা না করি, আমরা এনকারেজ করি যে মহিলাদের ইস্যুগুলো যেন জেন্ডার সেন্সিটিভ প্রোগ্রাম হয়, যেন মহিলাদের অংশগ্রহণ থাকে, এবং ইউথদের অবশ্যই যেন কাজে লাগানো হয়। তো এই ক্ষেত্রে আমরা আসলে মানে এই ধরেন যে এইভাবে ইন্ডিভিজুয়ালি কোনো ইউথ অর্গানাইজেশনের সাথে কাজ করা আমাদের জন্য একটু ডিফিকাল্ট। তবে আমরা আমাদের কন্ট্রিবিউশন গুলোর ক্ষেত্রে আমরা এনকারেজ করি যে তারা যেন এলাকার বা মানে জাতীয় বা স্থানীয় পর্যায়ের ইউথ সংস্থা, বা তারা যদি ওরকম মনে করে যে নিজেরা অর্গানাইজ করে নিবে, সেটাও করতে পারে, সেটাও করে। আসলে যেমন আমি লজিকের কথা বললাম, এইখানে কিন্তু এনারা যে ইউথদের পার্টিসিপেশনটা এনশিওর করছে এলাকার, সেই বিষয়টাকে এনারা ওনাদের যে প্রজেক্টের আওতায় নিজেরা করে নিচ্ছে আর কি। যেই এলাকাতে কাজ হচ্ছে সেই এলাকার একদম সরাসরি সেই সমস্ত কমিউনিটি থেকে ইউথদের, সেই সমস্ত কমিউনিটি থেকে যুবকদের অংশগ্রহণের ব্যবস্থা করছে আর কি। তো এইখানে এই বিষয়টা বললাম। আর একটা জিনিস হচ্ছে যে এই বান্দরবনের কথা, হিল ট্র্যাক্সের কথা বললেন একজন এখানে। তো অ্যাকচুয়ালি এক এক জায়গায় সমস্যা এক এক রকম। আপনারা জানেন ভালো করে, আমার চেয়ে ভালো জানেন যে পাহাড়ি এলাকাতে কি ধরনের ক্লাইমেট চেঞ্জ ইম্প্যাক্ট হচ্ছে। তো সেইখানে দেখা যাচ্ছে যে আমরা যতটুকু জানি যে ওয়াটার ক্রাইসিস একটা বড় প্রবলেম হয়ে যাচ্ছে, যে আমার মনে হয় যে পাহাড়ি এলাকার পানির যে যে লেভেল, যে গ্রাউন্ড ওয়াটারের যে লেভেল, সেটা আস্তে আস্তে নিচে নেমে যাচ্ছে, এবং পাহাড়ি এলাকাতে চাষবাস বা অনেক ক্ষেত্রে বসবাসই মানে দুর্যোগপূর্ণ হয়ে যাচ্ছে। তো এই সমস্ত ক্ষেত্রে আসলে আমাদের খুব সরাসরি পাহাড়ি এলাকার জন্য কোনো প্রোগ্রাম এই পর্যন্ত আমাদের নেওয়া হয় নাই। হয়তো ভবিষ্যতে যদি নেওয়া হয় তো আমরা চিন্তা করব। আসলে ধরেন যে এখনকার যে প্রোগ্রাম আমাদের জলবায়ু পরিবর্তন নিয়ে কাজ করি আমরা, এটাকে আমরা আমাদের পার্টনারদের সাথে এইভাবে প্ল্যান করা হয়েছে যে এটা আপনার কোস্টাল এরিয়া মেইনলি প্রধানত, এছাড়াও আপনার নদী এলাকা, নদী অববাহিকা এলাকা, যেমন গাইবান্ধা জেলা, আর একটা জেলা আছে আপনার সিলেটের সুনামগঞ্জ জেলা, যেটা হাওর বেষ্টিত, এবং যেখানে আপনার ফ্ল্যাশ ফ্লাড একটা সমস্যা। তো এই ধরনের আমাদের 3টা সেটিং, জিওগ্রাফিক সেটিং এ আমাদের এই কাজটা হচ্ছে এই পর্যায়ে। তো ভবিষ্যতে যদি আমাদের কোনো ক্লাইমেট চেঞ্জ অ্যাডাপ্টেশনের অ্যাক্টিভিটি মানে আমরা দিতে পারি, তখন হয়তো বা পাহাড়ি এলাকার কথা চিন্তা করা যাবে। আর ইকোসিস্টেম রেস্টোরেশন প্রোগ্রামের কথা বললেন, সুইডেন আসলে সারা বিশ্বেই এই ইকোসিস্টেম রেস্টোরেশনের কথা বলে, এবং আমরাও বাংলাদেশে আসলে আমি আমার ব্যক্তিগত একটা কথা বলি, সেটা হচ্ছে যে আমিও অনেকদিন আসলে এই বায়োডাইভার্সিটি কনজারভেশনের সাথে জড়িত। তো সেইখানে অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমরা এখন ইকোসিস্টেম রেস্টোরেশনের কথাই বলি। একটা স্পিসিস কনজারভেশন অ্যাটেম্পট সাকসেসফুল হয় না যদি আপনি জানেন যে তার হ্যাবিটেট, সে যেখানে থাকবে সেটাকে যদি সংরক্ষণ না করা হয়, তাই না? তো সেই ক্ষেত্রে কথা আসে যায় যে ইকোসিস্টেমকে রেস্টোর করতে পারলে, ইকোসিস্টেমকে যদি আমরা বাংলায় বলি আমরা প্রতিবেশ সংরক্ষণ করা যায়, তাহলেই আমরা সব ধরনের স্পিসিস, সব ধরনের, আপনার শুধু তো এনিম্যাল না, বিভিন্ন ধরনের এনিম্যাল, ইনসেক্ট, এবং তারপরে আপনার উদ্ভিদ, তাই না? তো আপনারা আরেকটা কথা অবশ্যই জানেন যে বায়োডাইভার্সিটি কথাটা কিন্তু শুধুমাত্র প্ল্যান্ট এবং উদ্ভিদ না, মানে শুধু প্ল্যান্ট এবং অ্যানিম্যাল না, এটা কিন্তু এর হ্যাবিটেট কেও ইনক্লুড করে, যেখানে থাকে। মানে করেন যে আমাদের ডাইভার্সিটির কথা যদি আমরা বলি, যেমন ধরেন আমাদের বিভিন্ন ধরনের প্রাণী আছে, বিভিন্ন ধরনের উদ্ভিদ আছে, পাশাপাশি কিন্তু আমাদের বিভিন্ন ধরনের বন জঙ্গল আছে, বিভিন্ন ধরনের আপনার জলাভূমি আছে, ওয়াটার বডি, যেমন আপনার সিলেটে হাওর এলাকা, আবার আমাদের এই যে ফরিদপুর, যশোর, এই সমস্ত এলাকাতে বাওর এলাকা, আবার আমাদের যদি আমরা আরো নিচে যাই কোস্টাল এলাকা, হ্যাঁ, সুন্দরবন, বিভিন্ন ধরনের আমাদের ডাইভার্সিটি। এবং এইটাই একটা মানে আমাদের ছোট একটা বাংলাদেশের ডাইভার্সিটি, ইকোসিস্টেম ডাইভার্সিটির কারণেই কিন্তু আমরা বায়োডাইভার্সিটি রিচ আমরা বলি। আমাদের দেশটা অনেক ছোট, কিন্তু আমাদের বায়োডাইভার্সিটি কিন্তু অনেক বেশি তুলনামূলকভাবে। তো এই পর্যন্ত আরো যদি কোনো প্রশ্ন থাকে তাড়াতাড়ি আমি, মানে ধরেন এরপরে আমার আরো কাজ আছে, তো 10 মিনিট আমি থাকতে চাই যদি আপনাদের
স্যারের সাথে 10 মিনিট সময় আছে। সো কারো কি এমন কিছু আছে যে না বললেই না? শিপা আপা কিছু কি বলতে চান? শিপা আপা, শিপা আপা বা অন্য কেউ? আমি কারো হাত দেখছি না যদিও। ইয়াশা বা কেউ? So Vaidar, have you any point you want to share with us?
সোহান ভাই, আমার কিছু কথা ছিল।
Okay, Vaidar, please.
জারাফ। স্যার মাহবুব স্যার, আসসালামু আলাইকুম স্যার। স্যার আমার কথা এরকম যে আমরা স্যার, আমাদের কথা এরকম যে আমাদের যে ভয়েস গুলো আছে, উই হ্যাভ আওয়ার ভয়েস বাট উই আর আনহার্ড। আমাদের কণ্ঠটাকে বিশ্ব পর্যায়ে তুলে নিতে আমাদের যে আমরা যারা তরুণ আছে একদম প্রত্যন্ত অঞ্চল থেকে শুরু করে ক্লাইমেট ভিকটিমস, তাদের কণ্ঠস্বরটাকে বিশ্ব পর্যায়ে তুলে ধরতে সুইডেন আমাদের কি কোনো সাহায্য করতে পারে?
ওকে মাহবুব স্যার, আমরা এটা অ্যানসার করবেন।
আমি একটা অনুরোধ করি, আমাকে স্যার বলবেন না প্লিজ। আমি একজন উন্নয়ন কর্মী, আমি কোনো ওরকম কেউ না যে মানে আসলে এইভাবে করলে মানে আলোচনাটা ফ্রেন্ডলি একটা আলোচনা করা যায়, স্যার একটু ডিসটেন্স হয়ে যায়।
ওকে,
বলেন।
তো আমরা একটু, আপনি এটা অ্যানসার করবেন। মানে তরুণরা চাই কি যে প্রজেক্ট লাগবে এমন কিছু না, মানে কিভাবে আমরা সুইডেনের সাথে একসাথে কাজ করতে পারি। সবসময় কিন্তু এগ্রিমেন্ট বা প্রজেক্টের দরকার হয় না। এইটা আমরা শুনবো। আর সুইডেন থেকে ভাইদার আছে। ভাইদার, Can you share any joint working space with Men Engage Bangladesh or working group? Have you any proposal or like this? Vaida.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much. I'm so impressed, and it's amazing. It's not just some questions and reflections. You're coming with concrete kind of demands and ideas and requests for support for your important work. I'm really impressed. What we have created last week, Sohanur, myself, and Men Engage representatives from different countries around the world, is a working group for climate justice. And so this group will be a way for ourselves to help developing and deepen the knowledge in this, but most of all also a platform to do work. And when you speak about wanting to learn more about gender and how gender and climate is connected, I really think we can help each other here. And of course, it would be fantastic if Sweden and SIDA can support that kind of work. And I'm happy to also continue my conversations with SIDA around that, because we have close connections and cooperate in many ways. And again, it really, it's not about us teaching you. It's about us learning together and develop this nexus and this new knowledge about how all of this is connected. Yeah, maybe I stop right there. But I'm happy to talk to SIDA about possibilities for this as well.
Okay, thank you, Vaidar. And you know, in last month, SIDA was invited me in development talk with youth perception of ecology and climate issues. So Men Engage Alliance globally can propose with connection with Bangladesh Embassy to work with the youth leadership development on masculinity transformation, ecological conservation and climate justice, I think. Thank you, Vaidar. So মাহবুব ভাই, আপনি আমাদেরকে আজকে অনুষ্ঠান শেষ করতে পারেন আপনার বক্তব্যের মাধ্যমে।
আসলে এই ধরনের একটা অনুষ্ঠানে পার্টিসিপেট করা আমার কাছে খুব ভালো লাগছে, যে এরকমের একটা সম্ভাবনাময় গ্রুপকে দেখছি যারা অনেক কাজ আসলে করে, আমার যেটা জানা ছিল না। তো সেই জন্য বিশেষ করে যে আরো ভালো লাগছে যে আপনাদের কথা শুনে এবং আপনাদের কমিটমেন্ট দেখে, যে বাংলাদেশ, উন্নত বাংলাদেশ যারা ক্লাইমেট ভালনারেবিলিটি থেকে নিজেদের রক্ষা করতে পারবে। আমার বিশ্বাস যে এটা যদি এইভাবে ইউথ পার্টিসিপেশন হয় এবং সারা দেশে আপনারা এই আন্দোলনকে ছড়িয়ে দিতে পারেন, সব জায়গা থেকে সবাই আসে, এই ইস্যুস গুলো হাইলাইটেড হয় যে এলাকা ভিত্তিক কি সমস্যা এবং কি পটেনশিয়াল। আসলে আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে আপনারা ইতিমধ্যে জানেন যে বাংলাদেশের যে অ্যাডাপ্টেশন অ্যাপ্রোচ এবং অ্যাক্টিভিটিস, এগুলো কিন্তু বিশ্বব্যাপী খুব সমাদৃত হচ্ছে এখন। খুব আমরা কিন্তু শুধু ভিকটিম না, আমরা কিন্তু অনেকের জন্য উদাহরণও, যে আমরা কিভাবে এই ক্লাইমেট ডিজাস্টারকে অ্যাড্রেস করতে হবে, সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমরা কিন্তু অনেক দেশের জন্য উদাহরণ এবং অনেকের চেয়ে অনেক ভালো করছি আমরা। এবং সেটা কিন্তু আমাদের নিজস্ব জ্ঞান বুদ্ধি, এখানে খুব বেশি হাই টেকনোলজি নাই, যেটা আসছে আমাদের প্র্যাকটিসের মধ্যেই। তো এই জায়গাটাতে আমার মনে হয় যে আমাদের অনেক কাজ করার সুযোগ আছে এবং এই জিনিসগুলোকে আমরা বিশ্বের দরবারে নিতে পারি। আমরা অবশ্যই সুইডেন এমবাসি বিভিন্ন ক্ষেত্রে বিভিন্ন সময়ে ইউথ গ্রুপদের সাথে, ইউথ গ্রুপদের অ্যাক্টিভিটিসকে ফ্যাসিলিটেট করে। যেমন আমি আরেকটা উদাহরণ দিতে পারি, যে আপনারা জানেন যে সুইডেন ওয়াটার উইক একটা বড় একটা প্রোগ্রাম হয় এবং সেইখানে একটা ওয়াটার কম্পিটিশন হয়, যেখানে বাংলাদেশ থেকে কিন্তু প্রতি বছর অংশগ্রহণ থাকে বিভিন্ন দলের। এটা একটা স্কুল এবং কলেজ পর্যায়ের ছাত্রছাত্রীদের জন্য প্রতিযোগিতা, এবং সেইখানে এইটাতে সুইডিশ একটা অর্গানাইজেশন এই ব্যবস্থাটা করে, তবে আমরা এমবাসি থেকে আমরা কিন্তু এই জায়গাটাতে ফ্যাসিলিটেট করি বিভিন্নভাবে যোগাযোগ, এবং বাংলাদেশের ভিতরে এবং সুইডেনের সাথে বিভিন্ন যোগাযোগ। তো এই ধরনের পরিস্থিতিতে অবশ্যই এমবাসি থেকে আমরা ফ্যাসিলিটেট করতে আগ্রহী হব যদি কোনো ধরনের প্রোগ্রাম সুইডেনের সাথে হয় সেই ক্ষেত্রে। এবং কখনো যদি আপনারা মনে করেন যে আমরা যেহেতু বিভিন্ন কার্যক্রমে ইউনাইটেড নেশনসের বিভিন্ন সংস্থার সাথে আমরা জড়িত, আমরা বাংলাদেশ গভর্নমেন্টের বিভিন্ন মন্ত্রণালয় এবং বিভাগের সাথেও জড়িত, তো এই সমস্ত ক্ষেত্রেও আমরা বিভিন্ন সময়ে ফ্যাসিলিটেট করতে পারি যদি মনে করেন যে আপনাদের কোনো ইস্যু হাইলাইট করা দরকার, কোনো কিছু করা দরকার, এবং বিভিন্ন সময়। তো এইগুলো আমাদেরকে জানাবেন। তো আমি আয়োজকদের এবং যারা অংশগ্রহণ করলো সবাইকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ জানাই, এবং আমার অন্তরের অন্তঃস্থল থেকে, এবং আমার একটা বিশ্বাস আজকে শক্ত হলো যে বাঙালি জাতি খুব ভালো করবে, সামনে বাঙালির জন্য সুদিন। সবাই এই আস্থা রাখবো আশা করি। তো সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ, আয়োজকদের অনেক বেশি ধন্যবাদ, এবং সুইডেন থেকে পার্টিসিপেন্ট ফ্রম সুইডেন, থ্যাংক ইউ ফর ইয়োর পার্টিসিপেশন along the whole program. So yeah, thank you all. সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ।
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার। সো আমরা 2017 সালে COP22 হয়েছিল মারাকাসে, তখন গ্লোবাল ওয়াটার পার্টনারশিপ সুইডেন থেকে আমরা একটা অ্যাওয়ার্ডেড প্রজেক্ট 1000 ইউরোর প্রজেক্ট করেছিলাম শরণখোলায়। এটা খুবই একটা ইন্টারন্যাশনাল মানের প্রজেক্ট ছিল সুইডেনের সাথে, এটা আমাদের প্রথম কাজ ছিল। এবং কারেন্টলি উই আর ওয়ার্কিং উইথ দ্য ইয়ং বাংলা through UNDP, and Sweden is contributor to a campaign is a public harassment, women safety in public space. So we are currently working with Sweden and UNDP to ensure women's safety in public space. So we are looking forward to a good collaboration in next future with also Vaidar and all of you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ।
Yes, sir. Thank you
so much. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye. So thank you, everyone.